Okay, so I'm gonna run through these. I need a trash bag. So basically, guys, I want to talk to everybody about, you know, when you're getting into this hobby or business, whatever you want it to be, how long it can kind of take, you know, for your animals to get old enough to breed, and maybe when is a good time to stop buying when you're a new breeder to just focus on what you have. I know what it's like to, you know, be watching YouTube and listening to podcasts and, you know, basically want, you know, all these new genes some of the bigger guys are working with. I know exactly what that feels like. You know, you're basically chasing projects. And if you choose to go that route, that's perfectly fine. You know, you're never going to catch up to what your peers are doing, but that's completely fine. There's 100,000 other people doing the same thing, and whatever you're creating, they probably need that too, you know, to get their project moving. But I can also tell you, if you go back to some of the YouTubers we all like to watch, and they're talking about certain genetics they really like and things like that, that are the, you know, next big thing, and go back 2 years on their videos and look at that, and you'll see that those genetics aren't even talked about right now anymore. They're done with them. They did what they could do with them. But the reason for that is, you know, when there's a cool new, gene out there, the guys who can are going to buy them up and see what they can make with them and see how far they can take it before maybe pushing it aside. So that means they're going to create offspring, which means they need to sell those. So they're going to, you know, push those. But that's just, I think, business 101. I mean, I think anybody would do that. Be right back. So, all right, you bought your animals, maybe you're 6 months in, you're taking care of them every day, you're really paying attention to the hobby, which is probably burning you out and you don't even realize it, making that 6 months seem like 5 years. My approach to this when I started a few years ago was to get the animals that I wanted to start with. I basically wanted pieds, clowns, puzzles, anything I basically thought was cool. And then with the Kodam stuff, plenty of that too. And I would go through stages where I was super excited about ball pythons, learning everything I could, buying new animals at that time, which is great. And it, you know, that's what keeps the industry running, is obviously people buying snakes to build their collections, or even for pets, it doesn't matter. And I noticed after some time, I once again started to think I wasn't doing enough or spending enough money or buying into the right projects. So I would kind of focus on work or my other hobbies and just come downstairs every day, do what I'm doing here, clean, make sure the animals are in perfect health, don't let anything like that slack, but kind of forget about it for a bit. Reason why? Time will go a lot faster if you go in that direction and you don't get burnout. You don't sell your collection right before you're actually about to produce eggs, make no money on it. It's not worth it. You know, so that's just, I guess, a little bit of advice that I would give is do what you got to do, get what you need, get set up, get your temps right, get your humidity right, build your collection. I wouldn't recommend spending tons and tons and tons of money like I've seen people do. Whoa, it's all right. Het puzzle, it's a fatty. These puzzles, man, they like to eat. Well, I shouldn't even say that because I don't have any visual puzzles, only het puzzles, but this year I have a chance of making, I'm breeding a leopard het puzzle to a, what is it, a pinstripe het puzzle, or possibly the male being a spot nose fire het puzzle. We'll see whatever it takes there. You know, another thing, you know, when you first get into this, that couple of years takes forever to get going. I would say your first 2 clutches feels like the longest amount of time because you're working with limited animals. You probably don't have 15 or 20 plus females laying that year, you know, and after you get the lock, your first lock, that process from lock to eggs is a very long time. So try to keep that in mind and be sure not to get discouraged, because every single person that is doing this, that's been in 5 years or 30 years, has gone through it. They go through it every day. You know, ball pythons is basically just a big weight game. So just, you know, stick to your plan. Try not to spend a ton of money jumping into projects that probably nobody will care about in a year, which can be kind of hard to tell though at times. Like, so puzzle really got brought up, I'd say about 2 years ago by a couple of the bigger guys, and puzzle's still really hot, but there's good reason for it. It's recessive. You can do a lot with it, and people are just banging them out now all the time, and they're absolutely stunning. And that happens to be my favorite morph. So, you know, there are some of the genes that just kind of work like that. You know, I come down here every day, do this, go through things, and here's another puzzle. It's really weird though, when I bought these from Jeremy, my friend Jeremy, you know, they were tiny, and that was that end of fall, I'm guessing, and you know, from 80 grams to, you know, whatever this is, a couple hundred or more, that can go pretty quick, especially if you're on a good feeding schedule. That's really important, being on a good feeding schedule. You know, they do grow quick, and if you're into watching your animals grow, as slow as that might be or seem, try to enjoy it for what it is. One thing I really like doing is when an animal gets too big to be in this ARS rack, I like moving it into a 50-40. That feels really rewarding to me, because you really see size, you really see the growth in the animal, which is exciting, which means you're closer to breeding it. And you know, the older the snake gets, it does change some and things like that. So all of that's exciting. Check out this Desert Ghost het clown male. He's sweet. I really like this guy a lot. I'm excited to work him into some of the projects he's putting on size quickly too. You know, love getting stuff like this. And that purchase for that snake, I got a pretty good deal on because of a friend I met at a show. You know, became a pretty good friend of mine, and when I'm looking for something, he's usually the first person I look up, and if he doesn't have it, he will get in touch with someone he knows because he's been doing this a long time and basically set it up for me. It's pretty amazing. That's the power of shows though. And since these animals take a bit to grow, I would highly encourage to invest in recessive animals. And if you're new, don't buy males. I see that a lot. People buy a whole bunch of males, or when we're talking, they're like, yeah, I have 15 males and 2 females. Just not a very good move. Those females are going to take a lot longer to get to breeding size than those males. And this is like what I talked about earlier. Buy those females, buy as many as you want that you can handle. Get them set up, feed them every week, give them water every other day, and basically they'll forget about them, forget you're in all this, and because if you don't, you're gonna get burnt out. I promise. I promise. Okay, so I'm about halfway done with this rack. This rack takes me the longest because it holds the most animals. I pulled some animals out of this rack this week and moved them to the ARS 5040 down there, which, like I said earlier, I love to do that. Oh, the pastel butter clown. Pretty cool snake. This is a female. I really only have maybe 8 males maybe a little more, but everything down here is basically female. I just can't wait for them to get to size. Seriously, you know, you'll notice that too when you talk to other people who breed ball pythons. We're always talking about what we're doing next year, what's coming next year. This market is always 1 or 2 or 3 years ahead in the way everyone should be thinking. It's never really about right now what you're doing. It's just, it's not the way it works. So try to keep that in mind when you're making your purchases. You definitely want to have a plan. It doesn't have to be absolutely set in stone. Like, change if you need. Try not to follow the latest trends unless it's something that your gut tells you is going to really stick around. Sunset was another great example of that. And many more. You know, you just got to do you. Straight up. Awesome. Okay. So, guys, I think I'm going to wrap it up here. I hope I didn't ramble too much. I know I have a tendency of doing that. If you could like and subscribe, I greatly appreciate it. We got over 600 subscribers in a pretty short time. Like, basically, I started posting videos like 15 days ago or something. So, I really appreciate that tons. Guys, until next time, take care. Peace.